Daniela. Thank you so much for sitting with me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Of course. So I want to first talk about what exactly your company does. Can you explain Sonoro for me?
Yeah, so Sonoro is a global entertainment company. So we develop audio first IP, so concepts that start as podcasts, primarily with Latino creators around the world, so in English, Spanish, or bilingual. And then we take that IP and develop it into TV, film, books, event series, merchandise, e-commerce, basically everything under the sun.
Tell me about your founding story. What were you doing before, and then how did this company come about?
I've always been in love with storytelling. That's what brings me the most passion and the most joy. And so I always knew I wanted to do something in the entertainment or storytelling space. Right after college, my first job was actually in nonfiction storytelling. So I was at the LA Times for about 4 years. In that sort of journey, I came across audio and podcasting as this really great way to develop IP and make it grow and sort of enhance the audience that we already had. And so in 2017, I was part of the team that launched Dirty John, which was the first podcast LA Times ever produced. It was this insane true crime story, and it was sort of a runaway success. Today it has over 80 million downloads, and that was the first time that I saw audio as an IP property being used to develop all different types of media. And to me, that was like a very big sort of aha moment that as someone that always loves stories and content, this was sort of like the next frontier or the next medium where that experimentation and excitement was gonna come from. So I spent the next sort of 3 years launching about a dozen podcasts with the LA Times. And then at that point sort of felt ready to go and build something more from the ground up. It was a little bit of mini startup within a larger organization at the time and gave me, I think, the entrepreneurial itch to really get with my co-founders and start Sonoro.
Very cool. Now there's so many podcast companies out there today, obviously a lot of entertainment companies as well. How do you stand out from like the Wonderies of the world or other companies doing similar things but maybe through a different lens?
Yeah, I think for us, first and foremost, we really believe ourselves to be an entertainment company. So for us, audio is really just that first step. We want everything to exist beyond that. And like I said, it can be TV, it can be film, which is more what you've traditionally seen podcasts become. But this month we launched our first graphic novel, which is based on a podcast that we produced. We have live events and tours with some of our podcasters that we're producing as well going into next year. And then separately, of course, for us, the focus really is the Latino community around the world. And there's 500 million global Spanish speakers, 60 million US Latinos. So for us, that is our big differentiator.
So now I want to talk about your fundraising journey. Can you tell me about how much you've raised and what the process has been like for you?
Yeah, so today we've raised about $13 million. So our primary investors are Lair Hippo and Founder Collective and Greycroft. We have some really excellent media investors. Awesome. And again, I've been very lucky to have some great co-founders to go on that journey with. And I think that in a way, we were familiar and unfamiliar as a concept, right? Like people understood at the time we launched March 2020. At that point, there had been audio, I know, right?
That's a fun time to launch a company.
Interesting timing. But people understood conceptually to a certain extent the audio to TV and film pipeline. And I think where we had to sort of do more education in our pitches, frankly, was we're going beyond that. We really are thinking about this as a global entertainment company that's developing not just TV and film, but all of these other mediums and focusing on this global community.
Talk to me a little bit about your audience. You know, how many is it? How many in the US? How many globally? And who are the types of people that you're trying to reach?
Yeah, so today we have over 25 million global downloads. So that is across Mexico and Latin America, primarily Mexico, and then US Latinos. So we're split about 80-20 to LATAM and the US. And our audience is young. I mean, they're typically 18 to 35. They're in the bigger cities. In the US, they are where you would expect them to be for primarily sort of Latino-dominated cities in California, Arizona, New York, Florida, etc. But they're young and they're sort of excited and they're diverse.
Last question for you. What do you want your legacy to be?
I mean, so I was just a little nerd when I was young. I was incredibly nerdy. I was, like I said, I loved fan fiction and sci-fi and fantasy and all that stuff. And part of the reason why I focused on storytelling as sort of the through line of my career and sort of personal choices and interests is because I just love the way a great story makes me feel. And I think like a lot of the community that is built online around those things is really special for a lot of people, especially that are outcasts when they're growing up. And so I hope that my legacy with Sonoro and beyond really is either facilitating or being a part of making these great shows that make people feel the same way I feel when I read a really great book.